When we discuss mass extinctions, most individuals immediately think of one major event, the extinction of the dinosaurs. But that was just the most recent episode in a sequence of moments when life was nearly wiped out from the face of the Earth. I don't want to scare anyone, but extinctions are relatively common. For every 50 species that have ever inhabited our planet, 49 no longer exist. See? You're a lucky person. A good portion of these extinctions happen in a very slow manner, little by little. Certain species are unable to adapt and gradually become extinct, while at the same time other species slowly emerge and begin to claim their space on Earth. And that's just the cycle of life running its natural course. But from time to time, a catastrophe sweeps away all the species living here at once. Ultimately, there is no single, definitive meaning of what constitutes a mass extinction. The concept can vary according to each researcher's opinion, but in this video, we will adopt the criterion used by the Natural History Museum of the United Kingdom.
Hey, Pedro here. This video you are watching was originally in Portuguese, my native language. This is the attempt of our team to translate it to English, and I sincerely hope you enjoy it. Your feedback is extremely important to us. Now, back to the video.
Their definition states that a mass extinction occurs when species disappear much more rapidly than they are replaced. In numbers, it's when at least 75% of species die within a short period of time. I just need to make it clear that when we say short here, we are referring to geological time periods. And they can literally last anywhere from 800,000 to 2 million years. And that timescale makes sense. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Such a period equates to less than 0.01%. 0.001% of all that time, essentially a geological snap. So now that we have a good definition of mass extinction, we can review our planet's entire history. And by doing so, we can identify 5 major episodes in which the existence of life on Earth literally hung by a thread. So sit down, because now I'm going to tell you the story of all the times life almost went extinct on Earth. First mass extinction event, Ordovician Silurian, 450 million years ago. In the past, all of this was wilderness, literally. Plants dominated the land, animals only existed underwater. Marine animals, invertebrates, spread across the oceans, being still small, representing the start of the animal kingdom's diversity. The miracle of life at last was taking shape, but along with life, its inseparable companion, death, also arrived. And it had quite a lot of work during that time. The first mass extinction was driven by continental drift. As you surely learned in geography classes at school, the map of the world has not always had the shape we are accustomed to today. At that time, Earth's large tectonic plates were arranged in this other way. The megacontinent called Gondwana, which today corresponds to South America, Africa, Oceania, and Antarctica, was moving toward the planet's south pole. And this led to the cooling of the Earth's temperature. Glaciers formed, and as a consequence, the sea level began to decrease. Quite a problem, since it was home to all the animals of that era. The result? About 85% of the species that inhabited our planet simply ceased to exist. And mind you, this was just the first time Earth went through a major cleanup. Second mass extinction, Devonian, 360 million years ago. The second major extinction occurred a few tens of millions of years later, and it was also easier to inhabit at that time. It's because by then life was no longer so restricted to water. During this phase of life's history on Earth, the first insects and terrestrial vertebrates walked on the continents for the first time. And with the new forms of life came new forms of death. And there were many. Scientists in general attribute this extinction not only to one, but to a series of reasons. The movement of the continents continued and caused further changes in the ocean levels. The planet's temperature also underwent changes, warming and cooling. There was also a reduction in the concentration of oxygen in the atmosphere. And the result of this combination of factors was the massive subtraction of life here. For every 4 living beings that existed up until then, 3 did not manage to survive that era. And that is a frightening number, but it doesn't even come close to the biggest of all extinctions that have occurred to date on planet Earth. Third mass extinction, Permian, 250 million years ago. 95% of all organisms then were extinct. Not surprisingly, this era is known as the Great Dying, which is a rather unfriendly name. Once again, one of the causes was the movement of the continents. During this time, continents merged into the nearly singular mass known as Pangaea, a period marked by mega catastrophes globally. The volcanic activity was extremely intense. Constant eruptions spread ash and lava across the planet, also releasing a huge amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And then the acid rain made the oceans toxic. In other words, a combination of factors created a perfect storm. It was a period of so much dust blocking the sunlight that some researchers do not rule out the possibility that an asteroid also struck the Earth at that time. The fact is that the planet became practically uninhabitable. Large species of vertebrates, which could have given rise to animals that we can hardly imagine today, ended up falling by the wayside. Life had to start over practically from scratch, only to be impacted by yet another major extinction. Fourth mass extinction phenomenon, Triassic, 200 million years ago, 50 million years later, and can you guess who was moving back and forth again and messed up all life on Earth once more? Well, the Pangea split apart and the continents went their separate ways, gradually moving toward the positions they occupy today. And again, it was a dramatic moment for life here. New active volcanoes, more carbon dioxide emissions in the atmosphere, and other acid rainstorms wreaked havoc on Earth. Many of the early mammals that lived here died during that time, and large amphibians also did not survive. It is estimated that about 76% of the beings that inhabited the planet disappeared. But, as with all the major extinctions we've shown so far, some living beings managed to survive. In this case, some of the animals that escaped with their lives were the dinosaurs. The extinction of so many other species marked the beginning of the dinosaurs' long reign. A crown that belonged to them for over 160 million years. And here it's worth taking a moment to reflect on the duration of events on the geological scale. Often we don't realize how frightening this duration is. To give you an idea, our species, Homo sapiens, has existed for about 160,000 years. And that means we would need to take absolutely everything our ancestors did, experienced, and built, from leaving the caves to stepping on the moon, and then multiply all of that by 1,000. Only then can we truly grasp the full extent of the lengthy period during which dinosaurs dominated our planet. It was an extremely long era indeed, but it changed drastically and quite suddenly overnight, about 65 million years ago. Fifth mass extinction, Cretaceous, 65 million years ago. An asteroid about 14 kilometers wide crossed space, passed through Earth's atmosphere, and fell into the sea where the Yucatan Peninsula is today, which belongs to the territory of Mexico. And this might have been the biggest butterfly effect in the history of the universe. Because if the meteor's path had been just a few kilometers different, none of us would be here today. Life on Earth would be absolutely different. But luckily for us, and unfortunately for the dinosaurs, that's not what happened. The colossal impact of the asteroid gave rise to a series of catastrophes. It's as if what caused the other extinctions happened once again, only this time all at once. Right after impact, the first result was a super tsunami. Earthquakes shook the continent as the meteorite hit solid ground. Volcanoes erupted, fires spread everywhere, and a cloud with millions and millions of tons of dust blocked the sunlight. Not for just a few hours or days, as many might think. This dust remained in the air for years. Without sunlight, plant photosynthesis was disrupted, and this caused a domino effect throughout the entire food chain. One species was decimated, causing its predator to also be decimated, and then the predator of that other species was decimated as well, and so on. Turns out that life doesn't happen in isolation. Everyone depends on everyone else. It is estimated that 80% of species disappeared as a direct or indirect consequence of the asteroid strike, and among them, almost all of our beloved dinosaurs. Only the lineage of birds survived, leaving descendants that are still around us today. A study from Harvard University in 2008, for example, showed that chickens are descendants of tyrannosaurs. And this shows that even in such an adverse scenario, living beings manage to find a way to survive. And here, I quote another significantly important scientific paper on the life of dinosaurs, named Jurassic Park. Okay, just kidding, that's the Spielberg movie. But a famous line from the movie says, "Life finds a way." And that's exactly what I mean. Despite so many obstacles that threaten to end life, it insists on existing and resisting. It's like that flower growing in asphalt, a symbol of hope amidst chaos, though the asphalt isn't quite chaotic. But that's exactly what happened in the 5 major extinctions that have occurred so far. And well, that could be the end of the video. It'd end in a poetic, quite inspiring way. Now I could say thanks, express my gratitude, and say see you next time. So I sincerely apologize for killing the mood, but we truly need to have a serious talk. The thing is, unfortunately, the extinction of the dinosaurs might not have been the last mass extinction. 6th mass extinction? Anthropocene? Our time? You didn't think I was going to cause an existential crisis today, did you? But in this particular case, it's a literally existential crisis, because indeed, it's our very existence that's at risk. Many experts point out that yes, the sixth mass extinction is happening now, and it's being caused by us. Calculations show that species extinction has accelerated by 100 to 1,000 times since the emergence of humans. In other words, a single species is capable of decimating several other species. Extinction, this thing that nature took millions of years to accomplish on other occasions and required earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, and even a meteor, humanity is kind of managing to do on its own. And this happens in various ways. The unrestrained exploitation of natural resources, deforestation, pollution of rivers, soil degradation, and the unprecedented emission of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere every day. All this is contributing to the real risk of the sixth great extinction. And remember that domino effect I mentioned earlier? The end of one species leads to another's end, a chain leading to our own peril. It's folly to think we'll escape unscathed from environmental destruction. Humanity does not exist apart from the ecosystem. That's why it's urgent to act to change this reality while there's still time. I often feel that a somewhat pessimistic and quite defeatist mood is setting in amongst some of us. Some people make comments like we can't do anything about it, when in fact the story is indeed different. Our future doesn't look promising at all if we continue as we are now. However, we still have chances to rewrite the next pages of the history book of our planet if our next actions are taken wisely. And even if one day we manage, to migrate to another planet, like terraforming Mars, it's more likely that we'll just export our destructive force there. Even more so, because if Earth, with its abundant resources, is being devastated by humans, we have no reason to believe much more inhospitable environments could be the salvation for a species capable of causing another mass extinction. And that was our existential crisis for today. So now, thank you very much, and see you next time.